So I'm going to go for another approach. Okay. Now, I watched a video probably a year ago. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I liked it. It was talking about goal setting goals. And I didn't incorporate it straight away, but I remembered it. And then later on, as I said, the last 2 quarters of the year has been good. God has reset my mind to be more, efficient, productive, more focused, and it's had some great benefits. And I remembered that approach, which I heard about like a year ago. And it was on the Chartered Management Institute website, but I can't find the actual video. So I'm going to take for an example of what I recall about what they shared. Some of the details might not be exact, but the principle should be very clear. The gentleman is basically describing, he was a journalist, I believe, of some sort, and he had spoke to many great world leaders, CEOs of top companies, Olympic athletes, and so on. And he noticed when they were talking to him about goals and goal setting, there's some common themes that stuck out to him amongst all of these great leaders. And then an approach was developed which incorporated those goal-setting principles. So I'm going to take you a quick example, which is similar to the one which I heard about around a year ago. So there was a 12-year-old child who went to their swimming coach and said they wanted to be an Olympic swimming backstroke champion by the age of 18. The coach believed in the student. So what he decided to is looked at the swimmer's personal best, so whatever their personal best was at that stage. He looked at the Olympic record time for the backstroke, and he worked out the difference between the two. So for example, let's say the backstroke, the Olympic record was 25 seconds. The 12-year-old's personal best was 19 seconds, and the difference between two is 6 seconds. So he's 6 seconds off from reaching the Olympics record, being able to swim at that speed. He then worked out the improvements by year, which is a second a year, and then he broke it down by month, which is 0.08 seconds per month. And then he worked with the coach, worked with the child and the parents, and developed a plan, a process to support those goals being achieved. So you might want to improve 0.08 seconds a month in speed, a second a year. But to do that, he set some process goals. To do that, he's going to have no more than 600 calories a day. He's going to eat 5 fruits a day, 2 liters of water a day, no late night eating. He's going to do film watching. He's going to watch those Phelps and those top Olympic champions, and he's going to see their technique. He's going to visualize himself performing that technique in the Olympics. He's going to do 60-minute strength training on specific muscles for each day, 6 or 7 days of the week. And he's going to practice swimming Monday to Friday, 60 minutes a day, and 120 minutes on a Sunday. Now, these are exact, but it's something like this. He had the goal of being an Olympic champion, broke it down what was required by month and year, and then some process goals was developed. And the idea of this was if he meets the process goals, that should lead to him meeting the performance goals and the outcome goals. And I've said that too early because I haven't even broken it down yet. The goal was achieved. This swimmer did achieve the goal at the age of 18. They became the Olympic backstroke champion. And within that, which I've said earlier, because I haven't even introduced it, there's actually a 3-step goal process. There's the outcome goal, which is this goal here, to be the Olympic champion. That is the high-level goal. There's the performance goal, which is almost like a checkpoint. To reach it, you need to bridge this gap. And this is how you bridge the gap on a timely basis. And then you have the process goals, which is the day-by-day often. Things you need to do in order to reach the other goals. Okay, does that kind of make sense? I'm going to give you another example, but that is the approach, and this is a theme that was noticed amongst leading.
Cool.
Oh, okay, good, thanks. I like that. Cool. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm joking, but yeah, it's a theme that was noticed amongst top professionals, that they had that thing. They didn't just have this one high-level goal. They had 3 types of goals, which helped them achieve the ultimate goal, the outcome goal. Okay.
I love that. I really love that.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that too. That pyramid.
I really
Okay.
like the pyramid concept as well.
Yeah, I like the pyramid.
Okay, good. Yeah, because as you probably can imagine, as you go down, there's more and more goals underneath it, if that makes sense. So there's more process goals than outcome goals. That's the idea of the pyramid as well.
Is this the top of the pyramid? Because I keep on getting cut out. Is this the top?
No, so the top is outcome goals.
Outcome
The top
goals.
is outcome goals. And then the middle level is performance goals and the bottom level is process goals.
Okay, so it's the top. Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, but I'm asking, was there
Oh,
lower
on the
slice
screen.
before?
No. The top is outcome goal. Yeah, that's at the top of the screen. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the top of the screen, but is there like another slide before this or not?
Oh, sorry. Did you hear the example?
No.
Okay.
I just heard you started talking about the little girl, but
Yeah. Okay, I'll give a quick summary. A person wanted to be an Olympic champion. They went to the coach at the age of 12 and said, I want to be an Olympic champion by the age of 18. That's what we call the outcome goal. I want to be that's the high level goal. I want to be an Olympic champion. Now, what the coach did is he worked out, well, okay, what is his personal best, which was, I don't know, 19 seconds, and what's the Olympic record? And that was 25 seconds. So there's a 6-second gap. So he basically said, well, if you want to be an Olympic champion by 18, then you need to bridge that gap. So he worked out you need to improve your personal best by a second a year, which is 0.08 seconds per month. But how are you going to improve it? Because it's one thing, I could say I want to improve my personal best by a year in running, but how am I going to do it? Well, that's where he developed some process goals. Well, to achieve the performance goal, to achieve the outcome goal, you need to eat better. You need to have, okay, I'm going to have no more than 600 calories a day. I'm going to have 5 fruits a day. I'm going to drink 2 liters of water a day. I'm going to do some visualization. I'm going to look at Michael Phelps and all those swimming champions, and I'm going to visualize for 60 minutes a day techniques. I'm going to picture myself within the Olympic scenario when they blow the whistle. I'm going to do visualizing 60 minutes a week.
9 minutes left, by the way.
I know. I will make sure I wrap it up within it. I'm going to have to do strength training and swimming practice. So in order to achieve the performance goal of improving a second a year, in order to achieve the outcome goal of being the Olympic champion, he needs to meet the process goals. They need to reach the process goals. Okay, so that's kind of what the approach is. And then this kind of gives a breakdown of what, the outcome goal, performance goal, and process goal.
okay, thanks.
Okay. Now I'm going to go through this very quick because I'm going to run out of time. This will be the last session, and I will put something together. I'll send out some handouts or whatever on this. But I want to cover at least these concepts, and then I'll let you know what else I was going to cover, and I'll prepare something and send it to you all another time. But I just want to give you another example of how this works practically. So I did use this approach for kind of weight loss type journey for myself. So on the 20th of September, I was 19 stone. And I wanted to be 16 stone, 10 pounds by the end of the year. That was my outcome goal. That's the goal. By the end of the year, I want to reach this outcome, 16 stone to 10. I worked out the gap. This is going into performance goal now. So I worked out, I'm 19 stone now. I want to be 16.7 stones by the end of the year. That's around 0.2 stone a week I need to be losing. So I worked out each week what I need to be doing to be able to ultimately reach the outcome goal. And that's demonstrated by this orange line here. These are my performance goals. And then I worked out a process. Okay, well, it's one for me saying I want to lose 0.2 stone a week. What do I need to do on a day-to-day basis? What's the process goals I need to meet in order to achieve the performance goals? So that included exercising at least 30 minutes, walking, drinking water, not snacking in between meals, not eating too late, having smaller portions at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is an example of one of the weeks where Sunday, I think that was the day I started it. Well, I obviously didn't start it. and then the Monday, I did a bit better. So I've achieved 82% of my process goals that day. I didn't do an hour and a half of exercise, but I did a lot of the other stuff I meant to do. And this ain't a perfect week. I didn't do everything, but I know what the processes I need to follow, and I'm tracking if I'm reaching my process goals. Now, ultimately, there should be a correlation. If I stick to my process goals, I should achieve my performance goals, and then that should lead me to reach my outcome goal, achieve that. If you do this process, and you do start setting, and you're doing your process goals, but then you realize your performance isn't improving, you need to look at the process. Something's wrong with the process. And then but the fact that you're tracking these things help you know that something is wrong and you need to do something differently. Okay? But the mistake that people often make is they focus too much on the outcome or performance goals. I want to lose weight, for example, and I'm checking every hour. I'm checking my weight. Am I losing the weight? Every day I'm checking my weight. No. Don't worry about the outcome goals or the performance goals. Use them, check them, make sure you are going. But the focus needs to be on the process. I'm getting an F in my exams. I want to get an A-star. You could focus a lot on, I need to get the A-star, but what's the process? Are you starting to read more every single day? Are you starting to look at the feedback when you get back from your assignments? Are you stop putting certain things in your mind which is distracting? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like the thing you need to focus on is the process, because if you stick to the process, the performance and the outcome goals should naturally arise. Okay? Now, there was meant to be, I'm gonna skip through some of these because I want it to be interactive. And what I will say for anyone who needs, because this is a very quick summary, and I'm gonna send slides to you so you're free to look through it. But it's an interesting process and it works very easily for weight loss. When you're trying to be, I want to be a better dad, maybe it's not as easy as to follow this process. So you're probably not going to get all the details which you need to use it practically. So I am able to talk to one of you on another time to go through it in more detail. But what I was going to discuss was, what is this method better than the SMART goal approach? And ultimately, it's not about is it better or not. What we should do is we use these two approaches together, the SMART goal approach and this 3-step goal approach. So for example, your outcome goal, if possible, your performance goals and your process goals should all be SMART. So it's like you're merging the two approaches together. Like, you may not have spotted it, which is done here. The outcome goal is specific, is measurable, it's time-bound, is realistic and achievable. The performance goal is the same. 2 pounds a week or stone a week, 0.2 stone a week, whatever I planned. It is specific on exactly what I'm doing. It's measurable, it's realistic, and it's time-bound. But also your process goals, it needs to be SMART as well. Don't just say I'm going to do more exercise. That's not specific enough. Say my process, I need to do 20 minutes more exercise. Don't just say I'm going to do more reading this year. No, I'm going to do at least 50 minutes reading a day. I'm going to make sure every single assignment I get, I'm going to read the feedback. I'm going to contact the teacher and ask them, what do I need to do differently? I'm going to practice assignments, do practice exams. Make the process goals, the performance goals, and the outcome goals SMART as well. And that would help you to achieve them. Now, what I was going to do, I was going to get you all to look at your goals, and this is going to be something for you all to do yourselves another time. Look at all those goals that you have. I know some of you, I spoke to Deirdre yesterday. I know she showed me this very good book, which she has, which I saw so much things which I was going to be talking about today as well. Some of you probably already have this. You probably already have all these goals which are follows this process already. But if not, look at your goals for 2021. And break them down. All those goals, you could even categorize it. Maybe one of them is an outcome goal. Maybe one of them is a process goal. But try and utilize this process. And if you're struggling, let me know, because it has helped me a lot with my weight loss journey. It's helped me a lot with my different things at work and stuff like that. And I think this approach can really work if you utilize it properly.
Okay.
And I have 2 minutes.
Just to say you've got 2 minutes left.
Yep. Okay, let's think. Now, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, which I was going to cover, I've like 30 more slides. I knew I wouldn't finish it. But the one thing I want to leave you with is ultimately, everything I've shared with you so far is applicable to whether you're a Christian or you're not a Christian. These principles are available in the world, which many worldly people use. But what we have to understand as well is we as Christians, we have an advantage. Yes, we can follow these great principles. These are good. These are good principles that God has educated people to give us, but we have advantages. And I'm going to put something together which take you through some other spiritual things we can do, which can ensure we achieve our goals. We can pray. If we don't know what goals to do, we can pray and God could give us good goals. If we're struggling to achieve it, we can pray and God could help us to have the desire, the motivation, the determination to achieve it. There's many spiritual tools.
If there's less than a minute, I'm just wondering if it's worth doing a part 2 session another time. If you want, if you have 30 more slides.
I might do that, but just to leave, I will definitely give you some more information on it. But these principles are great, which I've shared so far. Try and utilize it. Let me know if you're unsure how to utilize it, and I'm willing to support. It's one of my goals for 2021 that I want to be supporting and sharing more knowledge with people. But also I'm going to be sharing with, yes, these things are great, but there's a lot of spiritual things. There's a lot of spiritual advantages that we have that we can access that can help us not only set good goals, but ensure we achieve them. Okay? So we are going to run out of time. I hope it was useful. Please, when you get off this call now, please pray and ask God to help us to understand what was learned and ask him to use what we've learned to set and achieve great goals in 2021. Okay?
Amen.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot, yeah?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Matt. It was really, really useful.
Hello. The video may have just suddenly cut to a completely new screen and you're thinking what's happening. As I said, we had this session the other day. I didn't quite get to finish it, so I did squeeze a hell of a lot of content into the last 10-20 minutes. I didn't get to go through some things in as much detail as I would like. So I'm going to close off a little bit. This discussion I was just having regarding the 3 goal approach, the process, performance, and outcome goals. And then I'm going to move into some of these spiritual principles which I've briefly touched on. But before I go, I'm going to continue. I'm just going to pray for me to deliver the message, which I think God wants me to share with you. But also that whoever's listening to this will be touched, inspired, blessed, and will learn something that will transform them and make a vast impact on their lives. Okay. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for being with us all throughout the last year. Probably more than any other year, we all know that the fact that we've reached here at this point, we're here in 2021, we have something to thank you for. Just even being alive is such a blessing, and that should be so real to us in this world, this climate that we're living in. I'm asking that you please be with me, dear Lord. Help me to communicate a message you want to share to everyone who's going to listen to this message. It could be 1 or 2. This message, this presentation, this discussion, it could be 1 or 2 people. It could be 10, it could be 20, I don't know. But help them to be blessed and touched, and help me to be touched and blessed and inspired as I take you through the things that you've helped inspired me to develop. So be with those, if those are listening at this point, they've probably listened to a hell of a lot of content. Maybe they're starting to weary. Give them focus, give them concentration, give them energy. Give them a desire, give them a determination to grasp something that would transform them and graciously grant their desires of their hearts. I ask all these things in your precious name. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Okay, so I think I did pass this slide last time, but this slide was basically talking about the synthesizing of the 2 goal approaches mitigates against some of the risks of goal setting and achievement identified previously, which they do not address individually. So we discussed the SMART goal approach and the three types of goal approach. There's not a name for it, I apologize. I think in some future slides I call it the OPP goal approach, because there's actually not, well, I've not found a technical name for that approach. But you know what I'm referring to if you've been through the contents of the session so far. And I do think, one of the weaknesses I think with the SMART goal approach is that it doesn't have those how goals, those process goals, which ensures you can do it. I could have a great goal of being a millionaire, and it could be very smart. I want to have a specific goal. I want to be a millionaire, measurable, because it's £1 million, potentially achievable depending upon the jobs and stuff I'm going to be trying to do. realistic. And I can set myself a goal by the end of the year. But if you don't have those how goals, those subset goals, those process goals underneath it, it's less likely that you achieve it. And also, if you don't have those performance goals to see that you're moving in the right track, it's less likely you achieve it also. So I think the synthesized of the two approaches addresses some of the risks that are not addressed individually if the approaches are used individually. Okay, so this is another. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's interesting. It looks like it's not going to quite let me. It's not letting me go back to the previous slide, but I know it was on it. The next slide was an activity. It's what I ended the previous one on, which was basically for y'all to take those 2021 goals that you have and transform them into that OPP approach. Create an outcome goal, create a performance goal, or create a process goal linked into one of those 2021 goals. Now, for time, I'm not going to. Well, no one's on the call for me to do it with you at the minute. But what I would say right now, for those of you who's listening, pause this recording and use the principle that from what you understand that already, and try and implement that approach on one of your goals. And what you may find is, even it makes perfect sense in what I was trying to show in terms of my weight, using it for weight loss and other stuff, you might struggle when you're actually trying to apply it to your own situation. So it's good that you go through that struggle, you try and work it out, so that when you come back and we continue on, hopefully I would kind of be able to give you some ideas or some ways for you to address those difficulties and actually implementing this process personally. So I'll pause the recording if I was you, and then continue on, and you learn some more from that. Now, because I haven't got the group with me anymore, and I'm just recording this afterwards to have all the content together, I still think it's important that I give you some more examples of how to use how that OPP goal approach process can be utilized in different scenarios outside of weight loss. So what I've done, I'm going to take some of these examples on the next page. So I've kind of created one for an educational goal that you have. So some of you might be in school, in college, at university, doing GCSEs, A levels, masters, undergraduate degrees, and there's certain goals you want to achieve. You might want to get first. You might want to even do more than that. You might want to. I want to get 90% on my degree course. I want to get A star for my GCSEs. So how does this approach work? So if we're going to use this OPP goal approach with outcome goal, performance goals, and process goals, how does it work for these type of goals, which is quite different to weight loss, for example? So an example of the outcome goal for this is, you start in final year, in year 11, and your aim is to achieve an A star in your GCSEs, but you're currently getting around the C, CD at the minute. But by the end of the year, you want to receive an outcome goal. So some of the performance goals you may have might be to receive a minimum of B in your next quarterly mock exam. So let's just say your school, you do quarterly mock exams for all your subjects, which give you an idea of where you're at. That's a good way to measure performance. I'm at a D at the beginning of the year. I'm going to start doing things differently, but I need to check and make sure I'm making the right progress. So you could say on each quarter exam, maybe I'm going to say from the first quarter exam, you're going to get A star, but you need to be at least getting a B, which is showing that some progress is being made. And that's your checkpoint. And then the quarter after that, it goes up to an A. When the quarter after that, it goes up to an A star. That's your performance goal. But each of those points you're checking to see, is what I'm doing working? Another performance goal could be receive a minimum of A for all homeworks until you complete your GCSEs. So you might have quarterly mock exams or something like that, but you're getting homeworks all the time, which is marked and assessed. homeworks is an open book test, I sometimes see it as. So even if you operate at a D, if you're putting in the work, if you're doing these process goal stuff, you might be able to start getting A's quite quickly. But these can be checkpoints, check-in. Is what I'm doing working? Am I getting better results on my homework? And if not, then maybe you need to look at the process to see what you need to do to start making those performance goals, and then ultimately ensure you reach your outcome goal. And these are some random examples. It will work very different depending on the school that you go to, or college or university. But you could have something like, as I said before, one of the best ways that you learn is if you're actively learning. So the more active you are with the learning material, the more likely it's going to sink in and digest. So something that they say is, if you could teach something to someone else, that is, or forcing yourself or trying to teach something to someone else helps ingrain that information in your mind. So you could set up like a performance goal that every month you need to teach your parents a topic or module that you've performed poorly on. And then your parents will grade you to see if you've met the content. So that could be that you pass your parents' grading for a module that you were struggling on before, and that could be a performance goal. And each month for you check in, okay, yes, I am actually doing it. I'm actually grasping. I'm teaching this module to my parents. I'm passing the criteria when I'm delivering it to them, and that shows that I'm progressing in the right direction. And then process goals, I want to go through these very quickly. So these can be things, these are things what you do on a day-to-day basis. These are the things you need to focus on, because if you focus on the process goals, that should lead you to achieving the performance goals, and then ultimately the outcome goal. So might be complete 30 minutes extracurricular study on each subject every 3 days. This is outside of homework. Homeworks are the bare minimums you have to do. Maybe, if you're at a D, you want to get to A star, you probably need to do more than that. You need to be doing a lot more work, not just the homework that the teachers are setting you. Pre-study before you go to class. You could probably talk to your teacher and say, what are we going to be learning about next week? And then you pre-read over the weekend on what you're learning, especially those subjects you're struggling on. Pre-read, try and grasp as much information as you can, so that when you go to the actual lesson and the teacher's teaching it, it's inculcating some of the information that you already know in your brain, but also those things you couldn't quite grasp on your own. You're ready with your questions. And even without the questions, sometimes just by them giving another perspective on what that information, that content is about, it might help it. You might have that aha moment. Oh, I get it now. And those aha moments are hard to forget. It really does ingrain it in your mind. You're like, I get it now, because you've agonized and tried to grasp something yourself. And now you've ultimately had that realization, and the piece of the puzzle now fits together. Handing all your homework on time. Ask the teacher at the time when you do not understand the concept. Sometimes if you're in school, you don't grasp something, you don't say at the time. But then if you don't say at the time, 10 minutes later, you don't understand something else. And you have a big mountain of stuff to understand at the end. And then it's even more embarrassing potentially to go and speak to the teacher. And you just think it's too much to go through. So that could be a principle. That's a process goal. Each day I'm going to ask the teacher, whenever I don't understand something, if I'm allowed to do so, I'm going to ask them at the time to help, so that they could help me to grasp it. And another one could be, request feedback for each assignment you don't achieve top marks on, and also, recomplete one assignment a month, applying those corrections. So, you hand in assignments, you do poor in it. You ask the teacher for feedback. What have I done wrong, miss? And then you could ask, okay, can I rewrite it, taking into account this feedback? And could you remark it and let me know? I just want to know, have I implemented it? Or if not, then, maybe I don't quite understand what you're saying I need to do properly. So there's all sort of processes you can set up to ensure you improve, you ultimately meet your performance goals, and then ultimately your outcome goals. So that's an educational example, which I hope would help flesh out those principles a bit further. Okay, so I hope that made sense with the last example I gave of that outcome, performance, and process goal. One thing to bear in mind is the process goals are goals. So it's not just that you start, with the last example, asking your teacher whenever you don't understand something. It's a goal, and because it's a goal, you're tracking. At the end of each day, you could review it and you check, did I meet that goal today? If it was about pre-reading for you before you go to classes, at the end of each day, did I meet that goal that day? Did I actually pre-read, or did I pre-read for half of my subjects? So you're tracking your performance against these goals, because if you don't make it a proper goal, sometimes that could lead to it just being all these things you need to do, and there's not a level of accountability or that encourages you to make sure you do it. Is you can make a lot of ideas, a lot of plans, you don't end up fulfilling it. So process goals are not just plans; they're actually goals, and goals are there to be monitored. And ultimately, if you achieve the process goals, performance goals, and outcome goals, if you achieve the process goals and performance goals, that should lead to you achieving the outcome goal. So one more example, as I said, because I didn't get to have the session with the group where I'd actually get to take some of their goals and break it down through this process. So I think it's useful to give you some examples, different examples, where it probably you wouldn't think it quite works, but these would hopefully give you some good ideas to know how it could work. So getting a job. You want to get a job by March 2021. So some performance goals you could have, for example, is you initially, so you start January the 1st. Within the first month, you're probably not quite as savvy. Maybe you haven't looked for jobs in a while. So maybe the quality of your applications ain't as great as they could be. So you might have a performance goal of, you get interviews for at least 10% of the applications that you put in. Now, so for example, you do 100 applications. For those 100 applications you get at least 10 interviews for the first month. So something like that. Obviously, this varies by industry. If you just get your first job, or if you're experienced, you would probably have a lot more ambitious target if you have a lot of experience in the field. But that's an example of a type of performance goal which might be effective. And for month 2, you might increase that percentage. 35% of applications for month you get interviews for. And when the process goes underneath that, you're going to be putting in 30 applications a week. You're going to spend an hour improving your CV a day. You're going to request feedback from, I don't know, experts and for them to look through your CV and give you some advice in terms of what you can do differently. An hour improving your interview skills, be it through research or through doing mock interviews, practicing, developing better examples, brainstorming, whatever it is. You're going to spend an hour each day preparing for interviews. Even if you're not getting interviews yet, you're preparing yourself for that process before you actually get to the interview. There's loads of personal marketing books around. When you're trying to get a job, it's almost like you're branding yourself. You're trying to advertise your brand for companies to purchase you, as it were. That's probably don't sound like a great example, actually. But there's loads of personal marketing books. Maybe you could get one of those, and you commit to the process. So you're going to read 1 hour a day of that book, and that might help you to develop the skills and the wherewithal to know what you need to do to progress and improve. And improving your social media presence, your LinkedIn, sorry, LinkedIn. A lot of employees look on there, so you could potentially go on LinkedIn and improve your presence each week. Do research on what are good things to have on there, who are good companies to follow, which might improve your chance of moving through the recruitment and selection process. And maybe request feedback from at least 10 applications a week. Even if you're rejected, or even if there's an interview, you get to interview, request feedback, get the feedback. Don't feel downhearted. Oh no, I haven't got the job. I'm embarrassed. No, get the feedback, because they might tell you exactly what you've done wrong. And then when you apply that and make those changes for your next interview or your next application, you might be more successful. Just an example. There's various others. These are goals. What do you want to do differently in your life? What do you want to change? Were you angry a lot this year? Were you stressed a lot this year? Was you sleeping badly this year? These are goals, and you can plug whatever goal you have into the system, and then you need to make sure there's outcome, performance, and process goals. If your ultimate goal is you want to get 8 hours sleep, that's an outcome goal. You put it as an outcome goal. Don't worry about it. By the way, if you mix it up, it don't matter. But let's say that is your outcome goal. You want to sleep for 8 hours every single day throughout the year. Or by the end of March, you want to be in a good sleeping pattern so that you sleep 8 hours a day, every single night. Then obviously you could have performance goals about, okay, you're at 4 at the minute, so you're going to try and increase it to 5 hours. 1 month, second month, six, and so on. And then the process goes, how are you going to make that happen? Are you going to, why do you go to bed so late? What do you need to do? Do you need to stop a class that you normally go to? Do you need to spend less time on your phone? What is the process you need to do? Do you watch a lot of late night television before you go to bed and then you struggle to go to sleep? What process, what things do you need to do differently? What process goals do you need to set to make sure that you achieve those goals? Okay, hope this helps. Okay, so just the last thing I kind of want to talk about with this is this up goal structure, or whatever you want to call it, outcome, performance, process goals. It can help to motivate you to complete those less inspiring process goals. So some of you might say, for example, I want to do more reading this year. I'm going to start walking this year. I'm gonna start calling. I don't know. Going to start gardening this year or something like that. And there's reasons why you want to do that. You're not just doing it just for a random reason. You think it's going to benefit you in some way, but you haven't broken it down into this using this approach. So sometimes if I've said I'm going to read X hour a day, but ultimately I don't have to. I could do something else. If I remember the reason why I'm doing it, if I remember the outcome I'm trying to achieve from it, that can inspire me to do it even when I don't want to, because ultimately I've developed a strategy, I've developed a process, which I think if I follow each of the steps of the process, it's going to lead to great performance and great outcomes being achieved. So if I know reading nowadays to help me at work, help sharpen my mind, help me to have be better at critically analyzing information, better at communicating information. If these are the reasons why I've set this process goal to achieve this outcome, then when it comes to it and I'm tired after a long day, I might be inspired. I do want to improve my critical analysis skills. I'm going to put that work in. I feel reasonably inspired to complete that part of the process. Same with doing your homework. Oh, I have to do my homework. Sometimes we might get that feeling. But if you remember, but you know what? I was at a D at the start of the year. Since I've been completing my homework on time, I'm now at a C. And I believe if I keep doing it, I'm going to be at a B soon. Let me do it because I like where I'm going. And if I keep doing this, I'm going to get that A star at the end of the year. So having the outcome, the performance, and the process goals can help inspire you to achieve those, to inspire you to complete those process goals. Okay. Now I'm going to show a brief video, which I find quite interesting. And after I'm going to want you to think to yourself, I guess, as you're watching it, what's the point of showing this? What has this got to do with anything? But I'll mention after you watch the video. Enjoy.
Isn't it nice when things just work?
Okay, so the reason for that one, I guess, I wonder why you think I played that. I just wanted to demonstrate how each different component, each different part of the process leads to ultimately the objective being achieved. And all those little knocks built into that system, there was a system developed for a lot of research to create that masterpiece ultimately. And yeah, and in the same way for us, we can develop a process that can work. One thing leads to another until ultimately our performance and outcome goals are achieved. Okay. Now, this is something to think about. Once again, at these points, pause, think about it for yourselves. Are all the goal achievement problems solved once we have great written goals? Will all the goals now be achieved? If not, why not? What's your thoughts? So I would recommend pause this, think about it for yourself. We spent a lot of time now discussing problems with goal setting, some potential approaches to goal setting, and ultimately the outcome of it is we potentially should be able to draft some very good goals potentially. And these goals can be written on paper, can be on a computer. We've drafted some great goals. Now, does that mean these goals are now going to be achieved? Now we've drafted these great goals, we're going to have 100% goal achievement next year. If not, why not? Let me know your thoughts. And I guess ultimately, no, there's still other things that can lead to our goals not being accomplished. And I'm hoping you have a lot of ideas down there. So what can we do then? What else can we do? Are there any other tips we have outside of these approaches that we can do to make sure we achieve our goals? And once again, I would recommend pause it now and think of what other things can we do to ensure we not just draft great goals, but we actually act upon those goals and actually achieve them. Okay, so think about that. Write down as many ideas as you have. Okay. So here's some ideas that I have, some other ideas. Making your goals visible. You can write it down on a piece of paper. You can write it down on your computer, on your phone. But a lot of research suggests that having the goals visible, or at the very least, easily accessible, increases the likelihood of those goals being achieved. Okay, and not just the goals being visible, also the progress. So you might remember the screen that I had before, which had the red and green for my process goals on my exercising, my eating small portions. I would check at 7 o'clock each evening, and I'll fill in the tracker and see how I've performed today. And just visually, within a glance, I could see whether I've had a good day or a bad day. Making the goals visible and accessible, and also the progress visible and accessible, can help inspire, motivate you to improve performance on goal accomplishment. Track and then check progress regularly, but not too regularly. So, for example, an example of checking too regularly might be checking your weight every hour. Don't want to do that. As I said, you need to be focusing on the process, but it is good to check the process regularly. If you're meant to be reading 30 minutes a day, did you forget to read today? Or are you checking? Do you have something in place for you to check and make sure, am I doing my process goals as often as I had planned to? And then checking, is that having an impact on my performance? Those things are critical. Seeking expertise or conducting research on process goals. If you want to lose weight, do you know a personal trainer? Because they might give you good exercise regimes. Thankfully, I never had to go to that detail when I was trying to lose weight for me. Just by exercising in the way I chose worked. But sometimes you might need to do specific exercises to help lose weight in certain areas. Personal trainers might be able to give you good guidance on that. Dietitians as well. I cut my portions down a bit. We cut out a lot of the oily, oily food and those sort of things. And thankfully that worked. I think I know enough about diet to know kind of what I needed to do. But if you know a dietitian, they can give you diet solutions, balanced meal suggestions, which can help you meet those sort of process goals. Once again, even academia. Do you know a teacher? Do you know someone who's excelled academically in the past? They might be able to give you some advice in terms of what they did and what you can do, what processes you should develop to help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. Schedule when you will complete process goals. It's one thing saying, okay, I'm going to do these exercise every day. I'm going to eat in less portions. I'm going to be doing loads of walking and all those sort of things. But if you don't plan it out and work out when it's going to be done, then you could find out when you're on day one when you're going to start this new process, it don't work, and that can be discouraging. I'm going to do an hour and a half exercise a day, but you haven't scheduled it in, and you realize like, well, you got time to go home from work at 6 o'clock, and eat something, and then your food digests. It's too late to do your exercise. So being strategic, scheduling in the opportune time. If you're going to start reading 30 minutes book a day, but you're not a morning person, probably don't book in that book reading for early in the morning. Maybe book it in for the evening. So be strategic with that. And also don't wait till you're at the deadline to start working towards the goals. Don't procrastinate. And this is with all goals. Obviously, if you have a goal of losing 2 stone by the end of the year, don't start in November. But even for those performance goals, I'm going to be lazy. I need to lose 2 pounds, 3 pounds this week. I'll eat out for the first 3 days. And then as I get nearer to the end of the week, I'm going to get some hardcore exercise done and hardly eat anything. Bad habits, it don't often work. It creates a lot more pressure and stress than is necessary if you just try and get things out the way from the beginning. Start as you mean to go on. Those are good patterns for all aspects of your life. Yeah, don't procrastinate, basically. Okay. And last one I'm going to discuss, as you would probably know, it's common sense, I guess. Prioritization and time management is key when it comes to meeting goals. If you can't manage your time properly, it's going to be very hard to fit in all those processes that you need to complete to achieve all those great goals you want to achieve. So I'm not going to delve into this too much. There is a principle, Eisenhower's urgent/important principle. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but basically the key thing is a lot of us, we have urgent and important things we need to get done. But there's also some things that ain't important or ain't urgent. And understanding what's urgent, what's important, what's not urgent, what's not important can help you manage your time. I would recommend do your research, type on YouTube, time management, Eisenhower's principle to delve into this in a lot more detail. But ultimately, if you have a deadline for work, then that's for the very next day, then that's important, that's urgent. You probably need to get that done. But let's just say you have you have an example of something that's not important but urgent is maybe there's a show that's starting in 30 minutes. EastEnders is going to start at 7:30. Gosh, you need to get all these stuff done before EastEnders start at 7:30. Well, there's urgency, I guess, because it's starting at 7:30, and let's assume you don't have BBC iPlayer. But is it important? And I guess what the principle is trying to drive is there's some things that ain't important, it's not urgent, but they take up a lot of your time. And you could stop doing those stuff. And if you stop doing those stuff, it frees up time to complete more important stuff, things that are more urgent. There's some things that ain't important, but are urgent, like the EastEnders example. You could probably, with some of these stuff, you can cut those things as well. And that frees up time to be focusing on those stuff which are important, and also those things which are important and urgent. And that's a very brief, simplistic breakdown of that principle. But I think these are things we can resonate. What are we running around ragged for all the time? And just think to yourself, are they actually that important? And if not, what can we do about it to make sure we're focusing on the things that are important? And I'm not just thinking of work stuff as important. Health is important. Relaxing time is important. Family time is important. You know, so I'm not just on about these things, but these things which we generally think about in this rat race of I've got to get stuff done for work or stuff like that. Family time is crucially important as well, but often we don't get round to it because we're dealing with sometimes stuff which ain't important and ain't urgent. So your time management is critical to help us to achieve our goals, and that's something you should probably delve into by yourselves. Check Google, YouTube. There's many great time management principles out there that could help you manage your time. NEC Youth also, type in NEC Youth, type in time management. I've listened to some great presentations on how people manage their time who are very, very busy. So that's, they have some good advice and content on there.